Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're talking about the all-new Honda CBR 650R. This is the latest updated model of the CBR 650 platform, and we're going to be answering a question at the end of this video. Is it a good buy, or should you be saying goodbye? With a price tag of $9,899 starting MSRP for the US market, making it the most expensive 650 in the class. Is it worth that price tag? Stick around in this video and maybe we'll just get the answer you're looking for. We're going to do a specification walkthrough, we'll get a feature walk around where we highlight some of the tech on the motorcycle. I want to make sure you get a chance to hear that super crispy inline 4-cylinder exhaust note. We'll take it out for the test ride where we'll test its low speed handling, highway capability, we'll slip a 0 to 60 test in there, and by the time all that's done, we should have enough information to make that final conclusion. A like on this video would be tremendously appreciated, but seriously, only if you really like it. These videos do take quite a bit of time to film, edit, and produce. And by liking the video, you're letting me know that you're enjoying this content, and I'm going to continue making more of it. Subscribing is, of course, a great way to stay in the loop on all the new things that are happening here at the Omnimoto YouTube channel. Plus, at 20,000 subscribers, I take this helmet off, and you guys see my face. Another reason to subscribe right there. And if you really like this content, and you really want to support the channel, check out some of the links in the description below. Anytime you use one of those links, I might be financially compensated through the vendor. I'm just an affiliate. A little bit of cash on the side does help me continue to do this kind of stuff and upgrade my equipment. That's enough yapping. I do want to talk about some specs, but before we do that, we should talk about what this bike is and the purpose that it serves. Oh, hi there. Sorry for the interruption. I forgot to thank the guys who made this video possible. It's Big St. Charles Motorsports. It would mean a lot to me if you watch this next minute to check out the ad that I made for them.
Out by St. Louis, on the edge of town, Big St. Charles Motorsports, where your machine is found. From Honda to Yamaha, we got it all. It's the Big St. Charles Motorsports Mega Mall. Family owned, crafted with pride. You find your dream on a powerful ride. Whether it's used or brand new, they got your back. You won't find a deal better than that. At Big St. Charles, they treat you right. 2,000 bikes ready, shining in the showroom light. Financing's easy, whether it's big or small. 636-946-6487. Give them a call. Big St. Charles, where the road begins. Hop on that saddle, rev up that V-twin. They got Kawasaki, Suzuki, and KTM too. Whether off-road.
If you watched that, thank you so much. I put a lot of time and effort into that. If you're looking at a motorcycle, side-by-side, ATV, snowmobile, watercraft, or anything that's power sports related, check out Big St. Charles Motorsports. The CBR 650 has been around for quite some time in the USA. I think it's going on almost 10 years now since its first introduction back in like 2014, 15, or 16, one of those numbers. It's a more street-oriented ride compared to its cousin, the CBR 650R, which is kind of a pure track machine. By contrast, the 650R, compared to the 600R, is more so positioned to be for everyday riding without sacrificing too much of that sporty edge. Starting at the front of the CBR 650R, we find a set of 310mm discs that are clamped onto by a set of Nissan radially mounted calipers with 4 pistons in each caliper. And in the rear, we have a 240mm disc with a singular Nissan caliper. ABS is standard equipment for the brakes on this motorcycle. For suspension, it's provided to us by Showa. These are 41mm forks. They're the SFF line from Showa, which is separate function fork. Showa also provides the rear shock on this motorcycle to no surprise. The only suspension adjustment you'll find on this motorcycle is on the rear shock with that preload collar. In a class of motorcycles that's dominated largely by parallel twins in motorcycles like the Yamaha R7, the Kawasaki Ninja 650, and the Suzuki GSX8R, Honda, for once, dares to be different with an inline 4-cylinder. This engine delivers smooth, linear power, and what it might lack on the lower end RPMs, it makes up for with those high thrilling RPMs in the top end. Because of those characteristics, it makes for a great daily commuter or spirited weekend runs. Output figures on this engine are right around 94 horsepower and approximately 46 foot-pounds of torque. That motor has made it into a 6-speed gearbox, which features Honda's all-new E-clutch system. The E-clutch basically turns your transmission into a semi-automatic transmission and even enables a quick shifter. This allows for clutchless stops and starts, upshifts and downshifts. Engine, chassis, and suspension specs are pretty good so far, but let's talk about numbers that affect your time on the road. 650R has a 4.1 gallon fuel tank. Estimated averages are around 50 miles per gallon. With that data in mind, we can put those numbers together and come out with a figure of between 150 to 200 miles for your estimated range before you need to stop and fill up. Of course, that range does boil down to various riding conditions and how spirited or unspirited you might be riding that day. CBR650R is the heaviest in this class at 466 pounds wet. CBR650R has a seat height of 31.9 inches. Whenever I climb into the saddle, I don't feel cramped by any means. I can definitely tell it has a sport bias. You can see I'm slightly over the front of the tank. My foot pegs aren't as aggressively rear set as something like a Super Sport, and the handlebars are still a clip-on style, but they don't have as aggressive of a pitch downward below the triple tree. I'll put the rider triangle on the screen so that you guys can get a better idea of how this translates. You can see that line along the top has a slightly upward pitch from the seat to the handlebars, meaning that I'm going to be more upright in the saddle compared to a Super Sport, which would have me tapered down much lower and hunkered over the tank much more extreme. Overall, the riding position is a good blend between sporty and casual, which means that you're not going to sacrifice anything whenever you're riding around town, or again, doing those more spirited rides on the weekends. During this spec walk around, the thing I want to hit on hardest is the Honda e-clutch system. This can completely transform your riding experience because this technology lets you operate the bike without clutch use at stops during takeoff time, making the bike feel semi-automatic. But an added bonus is that it also acts as a quick shifter, so you get seamless shifts on the fly, both up and down, which translates to uninterrupted power delivery. Up in the cockpit, the bike comes with a full-color TFT display with sharp readouts. The styling on this motorcycle is done so well, and anyone who's not wise to motorcycles is going to see this and think it's a much bigger bike than it really is. It's got sleek lines, aggressive angles, and a striking fairing design that turns heads. It has the aesthetic of a high-powered race bike, but it's tuned for everyday fun on the street. All right, let's listen to this exhaust. All right, so now we've heard it. Now we need to feel it. Let's go for a test ride. Well, everybody, welcome to the test ride portion of the video. We're here at Big St. Charles Motorsports, today's video motorcycle supplier. Make sure that if you guys are looking for a motorcycle, especially one of these CBR 650Rs like you see here, you give them a call and then do a little inquiry with them. Let them know OmniMoto sent you. And maybe, just maybe, you can ask for OmniMoto, and just maybe you'll get them as a salesperson. But let's get this test ride started with the CBR 650R. One of the first things that I like to do is get familiar with the motorcycle that I'm riding and that I'm new to. One thing that's new to me, and certainly many of you, is this E-clutch on this machine. We talked a little bit about it in the specification and feature overview, in case you missed that or you fast forwarded to this part in the video because you want to see me ride it. So at this point, the E-clutch is activated, essentially turning this into a semi-automatic transmission. As I start adding throttle, it will automatically move the clutch to engage it. And as I come to a stop, again, no need to pull the clutch in. It is a quick shifter at the same time. So as I row through gears like this, first to second, clutchless upshifts and downshifts, and once more, no need to pull it in as you come to a stop. So that's basically how the E-clutch works. You do still have the ability to take over and have full control of the machine by simply just pulling the clutch in, but you'll see there's a lot of give in the clutch right here where nothing is happening. But once you hit this spot right here and I pull it in, now it's a normal gearbox again, and if I come to a stop and I try to let out on the clutch, bike still dies. So you get the best of both worlds. You have full control of the gearbox whenever you want it, but you also have a motorcycle that makes your daily riding experience a little less fatiguing and easier. Let's get our brakes bedded in. Let's see how those brakes grab. Accelerate to 30. Okay, it's pretty nice. A little bit of a murky feel as I'm pulling the lever in. Granted, these are new brakes. They still need bedded in. Up next, a 2 parking spot test. This is directly inspired by a one Mr. Zach Kortz from Revzilla, who also makes excellent motorcycle reviews. I don't know if he's done this bike yet. I'm sure he will in the future, but Mr. Kortz, I have beat you to the punch on this one. Or at least, I think I have. Today is November 13th. If you get it out before I do, well, that just means that I took too long to edit. Okay, 2 parking spots. Here we go. Not this line, not that line, but that line. We're gonna turn in before that. Ready? full lock, revs up. Here we go. 2 parking spots. Yep. All right. Let's go take it for a spin. Before we get out to the road, button layout. Honda has some really nice buttons on this motorcycle. Switches all feel very well done, and this little kind of multi-directional switch right here gets us into our main menu. The Honda e-clutch, we can actually turn it on or off. We can change the shift point, a couple of other different parameters we can mess with, and I would assume this is how quickly it responds. I'm just gonna leave it all in the medium setting. I think that's a good start, but I can turn it on and off right there. Bunch of good readouts in the dash, periodic maintenance, oil change, yada 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 yada, a bunch of stuff that I'm not really too worried about right now because I'm supposed to be riding this thing. So let's put it in gear and let's take off. I rode an old Honda CBR 650R. Maybe it was the CBR 650F. The last one of these that I rode was so much fun to ride. It had a tune, it had an exhaust, and I just remember having a great day with that motorcycle. I'm hoping that it translates over to this model year, and there's really no reason that it shouldn't. To my knowledge, the motor is just kind of revised, reworked to be more efficient, smoother, makes a little bit more power as well, and just overall better. And I think one question that should be answered for this motorcycle is, can it be your first motorcycle? Can beginners ride this motorcycle? I want to say with the inclusion of the e-clutch, yes, you could make this your first motorcycle. Is it the most ideal candidate? No. No. Because of the inline 4-cylinder and the nature of how they make their power, you may be prone to try to leave the RPMs in the higher rev range to stay in that horsepower curve versus relying on the torque in the low range and mid range to kind of shove you around town. We're even getting a little bit of wet weather today. It's kind of rainy out here. Hope it's not messing up my lens. First impressions of the saddle. It is surprisingly comfortable. I'm on the taller side at 6'1", so I've got a little bit of an arch with my reach to the bars, even if my arms are fully stretched out. If I tried to sit up all the way, I'd be right here, which is probably not how Honda intends for this bike to be sat on, because again, it's supposed to kind of give us the best of both worlds, where we have a fun around town bike that's fairly easy to ride and doesn't sacrifice the ergonomics that otherwise are fairly harsh on a super sport motorcycle like the CBR 650R, GSX8R 600, Yamaha R6, Kawasaki ZX8R. So I think Honda has, for the most part, nailed this. And if you did want something more upright, their CB650R, which is their naked model of this, is probably the remedy for that. It takes everything that's good about this bike and just gives you a little bit more upright moto-style handlebar that's gonna pitch you more upright into the saddle. What is happening here? Oh, it's a funeral thing. Okay. Well, everybody drop a comment below. Pay respects. Press F to pay respects. RIP. Wishing the family the best. And it looks like it was a motorcyclist. Unfortunately, I see some bikes and a lot of Watch for Motorcycle stickers. You hate to see that. Just a quick reminder that things can change pretty quickly when you're out on 2 wheels. You're taking a much more risky mode of transportation than being in a car with seat belts and a cage around you. That's the reality of motorcycles, is that things can change very, very quickly. But that shouldn't stop you from wanting to ride one, because you can't just play the stats. You got to play the probability. The more that you twist your throttle, the higher the probability is that you might get into an accident. The slower you go, the lower your probability is of getting into an accident. Don't become a statistic. Yeah, hey, me again. If you like this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. 20,000 subscribers, I'll take this helmet off, you'll see my face. It's that simple. Back to the video. Let's talk about the mirrors on the CBR 650R. I am getting probably 40 or 50% blocked by my forearms, reaching down to the bars. I can't see super well behind me unless I kind of tuck my elbow in either way, and then I can see the traffic that is behind me. This e-clutch in the stop and go traffic is pretty stinking cool. I gotta give the nod to Honda on that, especially for a bike that's supposed to be kind of that commuter, fun, sporty bike. Having this feature just makes around town riding much more pleasant. There's a little bit of vibration in the motor as we increase the RPM. Feel it in the saddle at like 6,500, feel it in my feet, feel a little bit in my hands. Maybe after a long stint of riding, you'll start to get some numbness in your butt or your feet. The quick shifter part of this e-clutch system is crazy good. That is so good. Yeah, it is really easy to ride this bike around town. I haven't used my clutch yet, and it's like, if I want that little bit of extra finesse on the clutch and control, I have it. But this is just so convenient. Let's go ahead and pull off here for a moment. And let's actually put it in neutral, go into our settings, and let's ride the bike like normal for a while. Let's take the e-clutch and shut it off. Now, the biggest downside to what I've just done, taking the e-clutch and shutting it off, has removed my quick shifter. So now I don't have quick upshift or downshift, which is kind of a bummer. It would have been cool to see Honda leave that active in some capacity whenever you're riding it in manual mode. I guess we can't have it both ways. Or maybe Honda just wants you to use the e-clutch. Yeah, a lot of vibration in the engine leading up to that peak horsepower number. But a lot of inline fours have that. Even the Super Sport 1000s that I ride back and forth from the warehouse to the store have that. Granted, it's maybe a little bit more worked out on a more premium bike. This is still kind of an intermediate level priced bike. It's the most expensive in the class, but it's not the most expensive bike produced. I tell you though, between this bike, the R7, the Ninja 650, and the GSX8R, all other bikes that I've ridden, this is probably it's a tie between this and the GSX8R. The GSX8R is really good, man. That bike, it won Bike of the Year at Motorcycle News Magazine for a reason. Maybe if this had been out at the time that they were doing that voting and whatnot, maybe this would have won. I don't think so. The GSX8R is so good. But that's not to say that this bike is bad. And I know I keep saying that this bike is the most expensive and the most premium option in the class, but the GSX8R is not far behind. I think for the 2025 model year, they increased the MSRP to $96.99, which is up almost $200 over the 2024 model in the USA. The gearbox is fantastic on this bike. I have not struggled to find neutral one time, even out of the e-clutch mode. Like here in manual mode, I'll find neutral right here. Bam, there it is. Yeah, it's very smooth. Very smooth. Oh shoot, I need to be in this lane. That was almost, not really an emergency stop right there, but it was a quick stop in the rain, and I had enough confidence to jam on the lever a little bit harder than I may have normally had to, even in the rain. And that may not be like a big deal to you watching, but for me riding, no one will even do a little bit of a quick stop here. And just a ton of confidence in this bike to do what I ask it to do, even when conditions aren't ideal. And I'm going to go into my settings, and I'm going to turn my e-clutch back on because I want to have the quick shifter for this highway travel coming up. Put it in gear and get ourselves ready. One thing I don't necessarily like a whole lot with the e-clutch is the initial takeoff. It's kind of abrupt, where even if I just try to gently, I don't know, I guess I've got a feel for it now, but initially it felt a little jolty. There it is. Like, yeah, just that initial bite. It's almost like the e-clutch doesn't know how to use the friction zone well enough to give me the smooth takeoff that I'm asking for between 1 and 25% throttle. It's giving me a lot of connection and not enough friction. So, here we are at 73 miles per hour. We need to merge over right quick. Oh no, it's raining. It's raining. Oh, this is so ass. Okay, the rain has let up. We're 73 miles per hour. We're in 6th gear, 6,000 RPM. If I click down to 4th, there was a quick run up to 90, kind of running out of room, but yeah, I didn't even use all the RPMs available, and we were already cooking pretty good. We're gonna peel off to our little testing area over here where it's nice and flat and usually fairly low traffic. And we're gonna get a 0 to 60 test, and we're gonna see if maybe we can pick the front tire up off the ground. For the 0 to 60 test, we'll do it two ways. First, we'll do it with the E-clutch, and then second, we'll do it with the me clutch. All right, wet surfaces, a lot of road debris, some paint in the road, nice and easy. The 650R will also notify you down here. So if I try to come to a stop and stay in second gear, because it doesn't shift down automatically for you like some of Honda's DZT bikes, but if I try to like slow down too much, it'll say, hey, you need to shift down. So it'll kind of prevent you from doing the wrong thing at times, as long as you're heads up riding and paying attention. Right lane closed ahead. What? Oh, well, seems pretty open to me. F it. So I can't really get my revs up prior to launching, so I'm very curious to see how this is going to go, because let me lay a little bit of groundwork here. So usually whenever I do a 0 to 60 test, well, I guess I could let the E-clutch take over. Man, I don't know. I guess I'll just go full E-clutch, and then I'll do it myself the second time around. But my point is, whenever I take off and I'm in first gear, I usually will get my revs up prior to taking off, just to give myself a decent launch out of the hole. But with the E-clutch, whenever I use the E-clutch and I go down into gear, I can't do that, because if I add any throttle at all, it's taking off. But that's the cool thing with the E-clutch, man. I can just pull it in, and now I've got control again, and I can do that. And once I get above a certain speed, E-clutch will be active again, and I can let it take back over. So maybe we'll try it three different ways. We'll try it with just the E-clutch, then we'll try it with the E-clutch and me assisting it, and then we'll try it with just me. And after that, we'll put all the times on the screen and see which one nets us the best result. So first up, let's just go full E-clutch. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. 60. This thing pulls to 60 in first gear. Okay, that was pretty solid. And I think that the E-clutch actually has like maybe some torque control going on in there, and it's limiting the engine from slipping too much. I don't really know. It felt a little artificial almost. So now this is E-clutch assist, where I will be assisting it on takeoff with a little bit of RPM. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. 60. Dude, this thing's zippy. She's very zippy. Okay, and now it's time for the me clutch. Here we go. Let's go ahead and get into our menu, and let's pause. E-clutch off. The display is very responsive too, by the way. I like that. All right, this is all me. No quick shifter, no nothing. We shouldn't need it though, because first gear is, 60 miles an hour. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. 60. Cool, man. Cool. Okay, so that is some pretty rigorous testing for this machine. Testing the flickability here. It definitely doesn't feel as flickable as an R7. It does feel more flickable than the GSX8R, but not as flickable as the lightweight R7. I almost want to say it feels more flickable than the Ninja 650 too, because, well, that bike is just kind of mid. Okay, so the only other thing that I really want to test right now is if this bike wheelies. I'm pretty confident that it does. I'm not a pro, okay? I don't do wheelies all that much, other than on my Grom. I'm gonna try it. Hopefully this doesn't go poorly. Okay, here we go. Okay. Yep. I understand it now. Okay, and that's good enough. This isn't my motorcycle, and I'm very grateful to Big St. Charles for letting me do that. I try to never abuse their bikes. I have to bring you the answers that you might be looking for if it's going to help you make a purchase on one of these, especially if you're going to buy it from Big St. Charles Motorsports. Something that I want to say is immediately apparent upon riding this bike versus a Super Sport 600. The gears, yes, they're tall like a Super Sport 600, but you can feel how long it takes to get through each one, and it's a noticeable amount. And you can attribute a lot of the time that it takes to get through each gear to, first off, the lower horsepower output. But second off, this bike weighs 466 pounds. It is the heaviest bike in this class, but it is making the most power. All right, E-clutch is back on. It's almost like, you know, I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it at first, but after riding with it, I don't know. Maybe I do like this. Like, look how smooth that is. Yeah, this bike would be a lot of fun at a track. It isn't really like made for the track, but that would almost, to me, make it more fun at the track, just to see like how capable it is and what it would take to try to keep up with bikes that are designed for the track, and just like how would it handle itself. I don't know, but I feel like it would be pretty good. You know, you start pushing the limits a little bit and trying to keep up with the Super Sport, you run the risk of maxing out the suspension and the braking capability of what this bike can do, because, let's be real, Super Sports are more capable, but they're purpose-built. This is just a street bike, man. It's really good, though. It's a really good street bike. And I think I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, this bike is as fun as the last one that I rode in that test ride video, when I did it all those years ago. And watching that video back, that's probably one of my, like, least favorite videos I've ever made. But a lot of guys seem to get along with it. It was just so short and quick and just messy, but it was pure and had soul. What just happened? Where am I? I'm in no man's land. Where's my... I have nothing. What just happened? What? Okay. Well, that was weird. Not really sure what that was all about, but that's the first time this bike has done something weird today? Seems to be fine now. Huh. I don't know. I'm gonna maybe use some words here. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but what I suspect may have happened there, somewhere between shifts, the shaft that shifts did not complete the shift and got stuck somewhere in between. I don't know. I think there's these things called dogs in the box. I don't know if that's right. Again, I don't know what I'm really talking about here. I'm not like within all the inner workings of a motorcycle transmission, and especially not this new transmission with an E-clutch. So I am not sure what just happened there, but something happened. But that shouldn't scare you. That shouldn't scare you, because this bike is still really good, and I would not hesitate if it was on your radar and you were like on the fence about purchasing it. I would try to nudge you over that fence and say, just go buy it, man. And even though that was pretty weird what just happened, I mean, it fixed itself, so what's to worry about? And oh yeah, that's cool, man. Not having to pull your clutch in and just leaving it in gear is pretty cool. For you off-road guys who might be looking into street bikes, just imagine a recluse clutch, or if you've ever ridden, like I said earlier, a 110 dirt bike. It's very akin to that. I think all this motorcycle is missing is selectable ride modes or cruise control. But you know, the price is already high enough, and like they put all the money in the E-clutch, so I guess I don't know. I'm willing to sacrifice ride modes, I guess, because it is just a 650. It's not like a crazy touring motorcycle. So I don't know, maybe I take that back. Ride modes aren't necessary on a bike like this. I don't even know if traction control is necessary on a bike like this. Is it nice? Sure. But if it's gonna add to the price of the bike, I don't know that I want that. I'm fine with the E-clutch. Ooh, Ninja 500. Sure. All right, boys, we're on duty. Here, I'll post up. Here, well, how's this? Is that good? Does that look scary?
No.
Just run people off. Oh, look, It's a CRF 110.
Get out of here.
Anyway, so I guess after nixing ride modes out of my mind, I'd at least like to see cruise control. I think it's a ride-by-wire bike. I think. I take that back. It is cable drive, which is almost even weirder, because how does Honda have an intelligent clutch that works with a cable drive throttle? I don't know. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Let's go to me with the outro. Thank you kindly for the introduction, me. So we've talked about specs, we've talked about features, we've ridden the bike. We've got to wrap this up with a conclusion. So let's make our call. Is this bike a good buy, or should you be saying goodbye? Let's start with goodbye first. I think price is going to be one of the things that maybe turns buyers away from this, especially for someone who's more budget oriented. They're going to look at something like an R7 or a Ninja 650. The Ninja 650 sets the standard at $88.99, and this bike is $1,000 more. The R7 and the GSX8R float in between those two. Another reason people might stray away from this motorcycle is because that e-clutch system is a little wonky at times. The initial takeoff on and off on the throttle isn't super fine-tuned, and I think could use a little bit more refinement. For their first crack at it, it's very cool and it's very unique. But some buyers might stray away from it because it's tech that they're not familiar with. And that doubles back on the pricing, because this comes at a premium. The inline 4-cylinder engine doesn't deliver the down-low torque that the other parallel twins in this class have. Trade-off there is you get a more horsepower bias machine, but occasionally, those horsepower bias bikes can make you ride on those higher-end RPMs where maybe you're not experienced enough to handle something like that. It's a smooth power delivery all the way up through the rev range, but in the low end, it just doesn't have the guts that some of these other models have. And because of that, in those low to mid-range RPM scenarios, you may not find the bike as thrilling. And that's where around town, a lot of you are going to be living. Storage, forget about it. It's a sports bike. Wind protection is actually fairly adequate. It's got full fairings on it, so you can tuck in behind those and actually get some good protection. Comfort, I'd say, is kind of mid-tier. I find the GSX8R and the Ninja 650 significantly more comfortable. The R7 is the most uncomfortable out of the bunch, and then I would put this in third place. The inline 4 is also fairly buzzy throughout the rev range. I did kind of notice that in my feet, even with these big, thick boots on. By the way, you can find a link for these in the description below. But no engine in this class is necessarily smooth, so that's not the end of the world. So bottom line, if you want something that's more comfortable, more affordable, and not as complicated, those are probably the reasons that you should look at the CBR 650R and say goodbye. But I'm not done yet. Now we've got to talk about all the things that make this bike good. A lot of the same talking points as the negatives. The 4-cylinder motor in this motorcycle is completely unique to this class. It's just something different. It sounds good, it's street tuned, it's fairly fuel efficient, and it can make boring rides way more fun. It's just a rare find in this segment. And it goes back to that trade-off, where those parallel twin engines in this class have great low and mid-range torque. This bike has great top-end power. The main advantage for this engine in this motorcycle is for riders who want the thrill of a super sport-esque motorcycle without stepping into a super sport. And the e-clutch. I know I said it was part of the bad side of this motorcycle, but it's also part of the good. Because again, it's unique, it adds a quick shifter to your motorcycle, and it turns it into a semi-automatic. And it does all that without compromising the rest of the motorcycle. Yes, the bike comes at a premium, but it's got a lot of premium componentry on it. It's got a great braking package, it's got great suspension package, great tech on hand, and an awesome dashboard to look at while you're gliding down the road. Plus, it says reliability right there on the side of the tank. And the name Honda should be indicative of a safe, long-term investment on a motorcycle that can last you a very long time. It will keep you very happy for the majority of your riding career, and it's a bike that you can even hold on to as you upgrade to bigger models. I think that if you ride this bike, you will greatly appreciate it. And lastly, style points. This motorcycle has awesome curb appeal. It brings a true super sport look to the streets without being a true super sport. It's like a motorcycle in disguise. It's all incognito. It's practical, versatile, and it's a street-friendly sport bike that delivers plenty of excitement along the way. So, for all of those reasons, I think the Honda CBR 650R is a good buy. Thank you so much if you're still here. This is the outro of the video where we just kind of wrap things up and close it out. If you enjoyed this video, and I mean really enjoyed it, I don't want your like if you didn't enjoy it, but give me a like if you did. And if you didn't, leave me a comment, let me know what I can improve on to earn your like next time. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. I'm making this official. This is the last test ride review of the 2024 season. We'll be back in 2025 to do some more bikes. Let me know what you guys might want to see in the future. And just for reference, I am based in the USA. I cannot ride European or Asian motorcycles. Please do not recommend those. If you want to support the channel and you want to help me improve my content, use those affiliate links in the description below to get all your motorcycle gear, apparel, and accessories. I'm an affiliate for Revzilla, Rurock, eBay, and Amazon. So if you make a purchase from one of those 4 sites after clicking on one of my links, I might be financially compensated. Lastly, 20,000 subscribers, baby. This helmet comes off and you get to see the mug that's been under here the whole time. That's all I got. I want to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week. Please, ride safe.